The order, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Flores, you want to lead us?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We get a roll call, please.
Chair Cameron Carrizales,
Present.
Vice Chair Aaron Todd,
Present.
Commissioner Ashley Connolly,
Present.
Commissioner Derek Farage,
Here.
Commissioner Alex Flores.
Present. All right. Moves us to item 4, Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair election. We'll start with 4A, election of Planning Commission Chair.
I'll make a nomination for Aaron to fill the seat for the next year.
Anybody else? Any others? I'll second.
I second.
Second. All right, then, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Do we keep it, or do we move on? Keep it.
No, you keep it. So
Keep
the
going.
question will be then, who runs this meeting tonight, Michael?
So I think normally in the
I
past,
switched.
we've
Maybe
switched at the
switch.
same
Yeah.
meeting. I think
But
for
we need a vice
purpose,
chair.
yeah, that's
For vice chair?
correct. Let's do the vice
Okay.
chair and then switch.
All right, then we'll move to 4B, election for Planning Commission Vice Chair. Do we have a nomination?
I'll nominate Commissioner Connolly.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. All right, we'll rearrange our seats.
And while the commissioners are shuffling seats, I just wanted to make a quick note about the consent calendar items. There was a commissioner with an excused absence from the January 21st, 2026 meeting. So I think that we should take those votes separately on the meeting minutes so that the commissioner that was absent from the January Planning Commission meeting's not voting on those minutes.
There's one speaker card too.
All right, so we will, Jacob, we're good to go ahead?
Yes, we're ready.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so for the consent calendar, we're going to have two. The first one will be a motion to approve the December 17th minutes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes from December 17th, 2025.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, perfect. All right, that passes 5-0. And then the second, item 5B, will be the minutes from the January 21st meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for January 21st, 2026.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there will be one abstain, so 4-0-1. All right, thank you for that. We'll move on to item 6, the oral communication, the opportunity for citizen presentations or comments not related to the agenda items, but within the responsibility of the Planning Commission. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. I'm going to assume there is one. And this looks like it is for Sean, is it McCauley?
I believe it's really for the public hearing.
Public hearing, okay, all right, perfect. All right. Are there any other, none, perfect, okay.
Are you talking about for the 1/3?
Yes, that's a public hearing. Did you want to speak on the 1/3? No. So you do want to speak on oral comments?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's all right. We're
Yep.
going to back up a little bit. We got good breaks tonight. All right, so we're going to go back to 6, oral communication. So again, we will invite Mr. Is it Macaulay? Macaulay on up. So go ahead, you can go ahead and come on up, 5 minutes.
All right. So at the January meeting that I was here for last time, you guys were trying to figure out what people in Fillmore want on Central Avenue. And you were talking about making a recommendation to city council to do a survey and things like that. And that's great, and maybe that'll happen, I don't know. But I went ahead and conducted a survey on Facebook. For those of you who don't know me, I am the owner of the Fillmore Town Theater. Has anybody been in the theater in the last year?
I have.
Okay, there you go. So that's who I am. I'm very familiar with business owners and landowners in the downtown area because I was part of the downtown rehab grant, helping the city distribute the $12,500 to the businesses who would actually take the money. Erica and I were kind of tag teaming on a lot of that kind of stuff, so that's who I am. Very quickly, I have like 10,000 things I wanted to talk about. I will condense it down to 5 minutes. Very, very quickly, in the survey that I did on Facebook, and I did on all the Facebook forums, I also sent out about 2,000 emails. It's a list that I use for emails for the theater. I sent that out, and the results are the overwhelming, and I do have extra copies of this, the overwhelming thing that people want is a coffee shop. Okay? Number 2 was an ice cream store. Number 3 was a used bookstore, and sometimes people were combining these things, but I broke it out. Like some people talked about, like John Granica talked about a bookstore and a coffee store, put together as one. Number 4 was a non-Mexican food restaurant, which we have a ton of great Mexican food in Fillmore. People, I hear that all the time, is they would like something else. And then it kind of cascades down from there. Several things that were on the no list, like people actually said no. A vintage or a thrift store, because we have several of them. A Mexican restaurant, because we have several of them. And bakery was number 3, that they didn't feel that we needed additional stuff for. The downtown area basically serves 2 things, and sometimes it can be difficult to serve the 2 masters. Its primary thing, that as stated in all the documentation from 25 years ago or whatever, is to serve the people of Fillmore, which there are businesses that do that. The CVS, the post office, Australia Market, the corner store, and the medical clinic are the ones off the top of my head that are probably most directly serving the community. The rest of the ones, if the building is actually occupied, are looking for tourism, and that's what they depend on. The vintage stores, both Hurry, who owns Trax, and Norma has said they really rely on tourism. So, and the theater is supposed to help bring more tourism, into the area, and it does do that when we can actually be open. The theater has been a very tough thing to do over the past 2-3 years. I don't know if any of you know or if you follow it. The theater is currently for sale, but there's an asterisk, and the asterisk is whoever purchases it has to allow me to lease it back for 3 years. That gives me a salary, so because all of my personal finances have gone into this theater. And it allows us a little breathing room to fix things and find more programming and just do a lot of stuff. Honestly, I don't think the prospects for a sale are high, but it was one of the things that we decided to try and see if that would work. Erica asked me in December when we had sort of a quick, get to know everybody in the city meeting, what was the one thing that the city could do to help with the theater? Now, the city's been very, very helpful with the theater, getting funds in there and doing things and stuff like that. And I said, the best thing you can do is give us complimentary businesses, restaurants that are open before and after the shows are happening. Make it part of a tourist experience. Retail is very, very tough, and I have been pushing this idea of experiential retail. And what I mean by that is retail that is very unique. Fillmore should be Solvang in its own version of Solvang, where you can get lost for 2 or 3 hours experience a lot of different things, and go home and have a nice day. We do get a lot of people that just come out and have never been to Fillmore. They think that Fillmore is the 126. And they don't understand that there's a downtown, area that comes up this way. That's why I wanted a banner over Central. We wanted a big whole, entryway. That project went away, but at least we got a banner. Now the banner has to be redone because the winds tore it apart, and the lady that does the banner is working with Juana to figure out the material so we can get the banner back up there. But we do have people coming to the theater are coming from Anaheim, coming from Los Angeles. We had one lady fly in from Boston, but that was specifically to see Danny Trejo. And she called me every other day to make sure that Danny Trejo was going to be there. And I thought, okay, is this a security issue? We had security at the show. Everything was fine. But the bottom line is so far that's the only thing that is sort of pulling people from out of town to come see stuff. I mean, some of the stores do have regulars that come in from out of town, but that's kind of it. And we need more. Instead of, have a Rocket Fizz store, if you guys are familiar with that. Have something for kids to do. I hear that a lot. I hear stories, there used to be arcade, there used to be this, there used to be that, and there's none of that. There isn't a lot of third hang places in Fillmore. The first hang is home, the second one is school. That third hang used to be the mall. When I was a kid, you hung out at the mall. And there is not a lot of that. There is some. There's, One Stop Olivez. There's a Boys and Girls Club. There's a little bit. But it's not on Central, number one. And, number two, it's not enough. All of these houses going in over at the bridges, the new ones at the other end of town, parents are looking for something to do with the kids. And you can do that kind of thing. We've got all of these empty buildings. It is possible to do that. The building owners want their buildings rented. The business owners want foot traffic, and Central can be a tough sell. If you're going to do a restaurant, you're looking at, if you purchase like David's building at the 340 building at $650,000, whatever the price is now, and then you're looking at another $200,000 to satisfy, the county and make it a restaurant and do all of that kind of stuff. I don't know how you would convince somebody to spend $900,000 to put a restaurant up in Fillmore. We need a business development person. Now, I know that Angel is partially tasked with that, but I think he's being spread a little too thin. You need somebody who understands that what lateral businesses can make a move to Fillmore. Nobody's moving to California to set up a business. But there are businesses within California that can make that lateral move to an area that's 20 minutes from the beach, and it's 20 minutes from, Santa Clarita, and you can go that way to go to Thousand Oaks and things like that. That needs to happen on a full-time basis. I realize that's not your purview, but that's something that would help, figure out what businesses can pull in. So, bottom line is, I don't know what the timer is, or if you even bothered to start the timer.
I gave you a couple extra minutes.
I appreciate that. So the bottom line is, we want a coffee shop, we want an ice cream store, we want a non-Mexican restaurant. That's a big one, to have those choices. It's interesting that my wife and I, we went for our Valentine's, we went on Sunday, because Saturday I was at the theater, we'd bring a movie all day long. And we went over to Moore Park on High Street. Somebody recommended a restaurant over there. While I was there, somebody from the city, not Kevin, somebody from the city was walking through the same restaurant. Hey, what are you doing here? They needed another, it was called Am on High Street. It's a great restaurant. Usually I use the example of Rabelais, which is in Santa Paula, but now I'm going to add that second one. They are both perfect restaurants that should be in Fillmore. You need to figure out how to get that over here. Figure out the incentives on the city side that can be offered to make these things happen, and figure out how the city can work with the county, since most of the restaurant regulations, come from the county. And I only know this because I had to spend $10,000 to use my own popcorn machine in the theater, type of thing. You guys need to figure that out so we can get that stuff in here. Otherwise, it's just going to stay empty. All these buildings are just going to stay empty. And I'm here I'm at the theater often. I watch the foot traffic going into CVS. They go to the post office. The tourists, you get people who are just curious for a day, and they don't get to see much because there's so many empty buildings. If there was more, they'd have more to talk about to get more people to come in here. So that was it.
Perfect.
If you want the pieces of paper, I didn't make copies for everybody. These are ones that are left over. Oh, you all can come to the business roundtable meetings, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Business roundtable is now once a month. I believe it's the first Monday of every month at 8:30. The next one is, that's right, right? The next one is going to be at the theater. So the first Monday in March, it'll be there. And you can hear and listen to the business owners and get to know them. Because one of the things that I sort of felt as I was listening to everybody last time is I wasn't sure that you knew the business owners. And I assume nobody has a business on Central. Is that correct? You guys? Okay.
Not yet. No.
Yeah. So you get to know the business owners, find out what it is, what their issues are, and, you know, going forward, figure out the plans for it.
What time does those meetings?
8:30 a.m., first Monday of the month. And like I said, the next one is at the theater. The last one was, where were we? R&Q.
Okay.
So, there you go. Yeah, and John's is actually sponsoring that one. So I would encourage you to show up to that. So anyway,
Perfect. Well,
do
thank you
y'all
for
want
that.
these?
I'll take
Want a
one.
copy? You can circulate. I only have 2 left over because I gave the rest away.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Want one?
Yeah, I'll take one. It said 6 or 5-ish minutes. That's why I let it go a little over on that. All right, that was the only speaker card, correct? All right, thank you. All right, so number 7, and thank you for that. Number 7, the public hearings. We're going to move on to 7A, the continued public hearing, review and discussion of zoning ordinance amendment to remove the 1/3 retail requirement within the central business core. And I will go ahead and turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on your election. Congratulations, Vice Chair, on your election. And good evening, Commission. Alrighty, so this is a continued public hearing from our January 21 public hearing. We do have resolutions ready for approval by the Commission tonight, and so that'll be what we'll be looking at. Alrighty, so during the January 21 public hearing, the Commission expressed interest in the following information: a map of the existing uses and vacancies, the downtown strategic plan that has been adopted by the city, and what other cities do to encourage retail in their downtown areas. I did go ahead and survey the whole downtown core area and provided those maps. Those should be attached to the staff report, and then I also provided them as a handout as well. The downtown strategic plan, also an attachment to the staff report, and that was emailed to you ahead of the meeting. And then we'll be covering what other cities do, as I did study 2 cities that are neighboring, that are our neighbors, to see what they do for their downtowns. So for the current uses downtown, we have a diverse array of businesses. The most predominant one is retail at 20%. The second largest use is vacancy at 10%. And then after that, we have nothing really predominating over the others. Barbershops and salons are at 9%. We have miscellaneous uses, which include the event center, the event venue, and then things like the post office. Post office is part of the public facility. We have the event venue, and then the town theater is one of them, a pet groomer, and then vacant buildings that are red tagged. These are buildings that were damaged after the '94 earthquake that have not been demolished or retrofitted yet. After that, we have the public facilities. That includes public parking lots, the police station, the active adult center, and the post office. And then we've undeveloped parcels at 8%, so we have quite a bit of opportunity for redevelopment in those areas. And then medical and dentist offices at 5%. Restaurants and bakeries at 5%. That includes Rowan Mills, and then the Panaderia, and Central Station. All right, and then as far as the vacancies and undeveloped parcels go, as I said, 10% of the commercial spaces and parcels are vacant. So we have about 110 different spaces downtown that could be, someone could move into there. And so 10% of those are vacant. The overall vacancy rate for retail spaces in Ventura County is 6%. And then the undeveloped parcels are 8%. So there's no building on there. You'd have to build a structure on there in order to use it for retail, restaurant, whatever. And then we have had mixed-use projects proposed in the past on those undeveloped parcels, and they did make it through entitlement. It's just for whatever reason they did not go to construction. So there has been proposed development. Unfortunately, it hasn't culminated into breaking ground. One of the cities I studied was Santa Clarita, specifically their Old Town Newhall area, which is the area around Main Street and Lyons Avenue in Santa Clarita. It's towards the south end, pretty close to the 14 freeway, or where the 5 and the 14 freeway intersect. They adopted the Old Town Newhall specific plan in 2005, and then they amended it in 2022. So they went through a big update there. The city of Santa Clarita has used similar programs and policies that Fillmore has, including the storefront facade remodeling grants, street improvements, and then grants and loans from the redevelopment agency back when those were around. I was able to walk downtown Newhall because I am a Newhall resident, and there's a wide variety of businesses similar to our downtown. No predominant use, a lot of breweries, specialty stores like liquor stores, professional offices, their realtors downtown, and then their barbershops. They do have specialty retail as well. My other case study was the city of Moore Park, their High Street area. They have the downtown specific plan for that area that was adopted in 1998, and I believe they also went through a revision to that downtown plan recently as well within the last couple of years. The city of Moore Park has implemented a business retention and recruitment program that was run through their redevelopment agency. I believe they have an economic development department that handles those now. And those were low interest loans and grants, similar to what Fillmore did after the '94 earthquake through the redevelopment agency. They also waived or reduced permit fees for tenant improvements in that downtown. And then currently, they also have an expedited process for tenant improvements as well, where they set a date and time, and then each department that reviews plans meets with the applicant, so fire department, planning, building and safety, and they all can either get comments that day or an approval that day, depending on where their plans are. High Street's currently home to another variety of businesses. The city's made a concerted effort to put their public facilities downtown. I believe they're currently constructing the new city library there, and then I think they have plans to relocate the city hall there as well. They also have specialty retail, restaurants, and barbershops, things like that, present in their downtown. And so for tonight, staff is recommending that we open the public hearing and receive public testimony, and number 2, adopt the Planning Commission Resolution 26-1066, recommending City Council adopt ordinance number 26992, amending the municipal code to remove the 1/3 retail requirement in the Central Business District core. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you, Jacob, for that. And we won't hold it against you, the new hall stuff. All right. Are there, open up or questions?
Yes.
You have any questions?
Yes. Go ahead.
Go for it.
So I think last time we talked about, you were going to compare some neighboring cities, and we talked about, I thought Santa Paula and Ventura But, I mean, these examples are good too, and I actually recently was in Newhall, and I went to the Lemley movie theater there, and I was like, wow, didn't even know this whole downtown was here, it's really cute. But I was looking up, that Santa Paula does have a retail requirement of 30%, and, in their central business district, and Ventura requires the entire first floor within their designated commercial blocks to be retail. Restaurants or services to promote like walkable urbanism and pedestrian-oriented kind of activity, as well as for tourists. And so I was just wondering, since basically at least for me, it seemed like you were, or not you, but the staff report was trying to kind of make the correlation between like the lack of the 1/3 requirement for Newhall and for Moore Park. Implying that it's like the causation for why it's like become a successful downtown. But I just want to understand, is that what the direct link is trying to be made? And then if so, like what is the metric that points to that?
Yeah, we don't have a metric. We simply wanted to provide the information that the commissioners asked for.
Okay.
And yeah, that was the point of that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's more like it just happens to be that way, but it's not like the cause for why they have a successful downtown. Because, I mean, at least for Newhall, it seems like it is mostly, like you said, retail, restaurants, movie theater, I mean, which is, to me, kind of why we have this 1/3 retail requirement. And then the next question I have is, you talked a little bit about the incentives that were employed to help like support the tenants and landowners to reduce vacancy in Moore Park and in Newhall. But I was just wondering, what of those incentives do we currently have in Fillmore? And if we don't currently have them, are any of them being discussed by the city at this time?
Yeah, we currently don't have those incentive programs. We did have the facade rehab program, but that has since been exhausted. That was done through American Rescue Plan funds, and those are pretty much exhausted as well. So yeah, currently we don't have any incentive programs for the downtown.
And then I think you provided this, but I just want to clarify that the area that requires the 1/3 is only the core area of the central business district. So it's really only the businesses along Central, correct?
Yeah, so it's Central is where the main concentration is, but then there's a little bit of spillover on Santa Clara Street, and then Fillmore Street and Sespe Avenue as well.
Okay.
But it's mostly Central Avenue. That's like the.
Right, so there's other areas of the central business district that have vacancies, for example, but they don't have 1/3 retail requirements.
That's correct.
Okay. And then, I was looking through the downtown strategies, their strategic vision for Fillmore, which is like excellent. I really enjoyed looking at that. There was a lot of information there that I thought was quality. And I noticed that I think we're in the 4th year of the 5-year plan, right?
I mean, that would be on paper, but we really are only scratching the surface of that plan. Kind of 1/3 retail is like one of the first steps that we're taking, and then also the roundtable with the businesses was another first step that we're taking as well.
Okay.
But yeah, the other programs in that plan we haven't fully explored or implemented yet.
And I didn't recall seeing anywhere suggested in that plan to remove retail requirements. As far as I saw, it was actually to promote enforcement of existing policies further. Is
Yeah,
that right?
it doesn't say to remove the 1/3 retail. Yeah, it just wanted that consistency of enforcement. And that is one thing that removing the 1/3 retail would give us, because of the lack of enforcement in the past. We would be able to have that consistency if it were removed.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Why just enforcing the actual policy wouldn't maintain that?
The tenants that are not in conformance now, it wouldn't be practical for the city to evict them, basically.
Okay.
That's what it boils down to.
So the ones that are not in compliance now, they wouldn't be able to maybe get a warning of some kind that they need to provide some form of retail?
They could get a warranty, but it wouldn't be practical going through with, it would be basically kind of a toothless warning because it's not practical going forward.
Okay, but I mean, I think for most policies, like, isn't there like a grandfathered in sort of aspect of it, and anything new proposed has to follow the policy?
So we have something called legal nonconforming, and
Yeah.
if the use was established prior to the adoption of the zoning ordinance, we would consider that to be a legal nonconforming use, provided they have their permits.
Right.
And, it was an allowed use back then. Prior to, for us, it's 1994, that's the top clock. But these tenants they came in after the 94
Uh-huh.
ordinance, so that we wouldn't consider them legal nonconforming.
Okay, I see.
If I can interject in there, what Jacob's trying to explain is that we were flexible with our codes and we allowed them to move in as long as they provide retail. So we allowed real estate businesses to move downtown, have offices, but the requirement was they're supposed to provide retail in the front. We've also had gyms, athletic gyms that opened up, and we required retail, same with barbershops and beauty salons. So we were trying to be flexible and allow people to move into downtown, but they were to provide retail, and they're really not.
Okay, so I guess going back to this strategic vision for Fillmore that was developed by the downtown strategies, and I guess you're saying we've really not even progressed into year 4, whatever we are on.
We're in year 1.
We're on year 1, okay.
Seriously, we adopted it last year, the plan.
Okay, I understand. So I guess my next question would be, are any of the long-term strategies, like the years 3 through 5, for any of the pillars, like the market analysis, policy, design, tourism, all these categories that they had, are any of those, have any of those been enacted? And then I guess if they haven't been, would you recommend specific ones for the city to spend resources on?
Yeah, so they have not been enacted yet. And then as far as recommending one, unfortunately, I'm not in economic development, so I'd defer to someone more qualified.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have a few more and then I'll give it to someone else. But, so, we talked about the downtown facade grant program, and that basically it was successful, and that the, previously when there were redevelopment agencies and they provided funding, that was successful. And after the 94 earthquake, when there was funding given to businesses to revitalize, that made a successful situation. So I just wanted to find out, there were certain programs, like incentive programs discussed, like financially supporting projects that relate to interior renovations. It talked a lot about like presenting rentable tenant spaces, like instead of a gray shell, which is like no HVAC, like no ceilings, no lights, no nothing, just bare, warehouse basically, versus a vanilla shell, incentivizing that financially for the landlords. And then they also talked about the ARPA funding, which you're saying is maybe depleted at this point, for business development, and then also like lease assistance for new businesses. Would you recommend any of those policies or incentives to take place? And I guess, which ones would you think would have the most impact in terms of the situation that we have right now?
I wouldn't make a recommendation. Unfortunately, that's a bit out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are certainly things that the city, we've explored them already, and we could definitely keep looking at those and then study each of those incentives that could be offered and see where are we going to go get the most bang for our buck. That is something that we could definitely explore.
So what you're asking for is not what Jacob was tasked to do. He was only to begin processing the removal of the 1/3 retail requirement because it was viewed as an obstacle. What you're describing is what our City Council Subcommittee for Economic Development reviews. And at that level, in the City Council, are they doing the things that you're describing? And they did adopt the retail strategy, I think it is in its entirety, but I can't recall. I think so. But from that, you can have all the goals you want, but you have to have money with each of those goals,
Right.
right? So each budget cycle, I think the city manager is presenting something to the city council, but we'll see. Myself and Jacob are not knowledgeable of
On-
those
on
things.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just see, I mean, yeah, maybe then these questions won't make sense, or you can't answer them, but, I guess the 1/3 retail requirement, yeah, I guess I can just save this for the comments section, because it seems like maybe you won't be able to answer them. Yeah, I mean, my only other question is in the survey information, because the retail strategies did do a survey. I mean, we talked about doing a survey last time, but they actually did conduct a survey. And the information that they collected is that the majority of the population said that they want the downtown area to be open after 5 PM and on the weekends and on Friday. And I just wanted to find out, like, in your experience, what occupancies are active during those times?
Yeah, I mean, my personal experience, things like frozen yogurt, super popular with kids. I know me and Kevin, there's a froyo place, it's ice cream place in Stevenson Ranch that we'll go to, and they just kind of have an open area that's really good for kids to run around. So like, just families like swarm that place, especially during the summertime, on the weekends, in the evenings. And then things like breweries, pubs, restaurants, those restaurants that are, serve dinner, not the, breakfast.
Open at past 8, yeah.
Yeah, not the ones that are like, oh yeah, we close at 2 because we just serve breakfast and
Right.
lunch. So yeah, those would definitely contribute to a lively downtown. And, obviously, we both saw in Newhall, that's definitely the kind of business that drives that foot traffic in the evening hours.
And that's allowed right now, right? In
That's
this
correct,
core
yeah.
area?
Mhm.
Okay. And that's all my questions. Thank you so much.
All right. Cameron, you have anything? Okay. I guess a couple questions for you. The first one would be, why did you choose Santa Clarita and Moore Park?
They're close proximity. They're beside Santa Paula. They're our closest neighbors. And then also the downtowns have a similar experience in terms of their historical development and then unfortunate decline in the second half of the 20th century. So the story is very similar. Newhall, before Santa Clarita was built out into Valencia, Newhall was basically just like Fillmore. Moore Park is the same story. Both of them started out as very much rural towns. Obviously, they've experienced suburbanization, and which led to the decline of the downtowns, unfortunately. And then also their documents are very similar to ours, and the programs, everything from the RDA incentives, the downtown specific plan. Funnily enough, even Newhall's light posts are the same ones that we have in our throughout the city of Fillmore. So it's just the profile I felt was right to study those, and then they also had the most information available online. I actually had a meeting with the Moore Park Economic Development team a couple months ago when we were first looking at this issue before council gave us the direction, and that was a very educational experience. So yeah, that's why they were chosen.
Okay. One of the questions or comments that was brought up was tourism coming into the city, and the two major things that stick out to me with these two is they've got rail service that go right in. So that is vital to them getting tourism.
Or Newhall and Moore Park,
Correct.
they don't get any tourism from their rail service.
Well,
None. They have Metrolink stations, each of them. I live next door to Newhall, downtown Newhall. I'm there every Thursday and Friday night. Nobody from the Metrolink goes to downtown Newhall. And it's adjacent.
I don't know.
But I'm just trying to say that, but our railroad was an anchor to tourism. People came from all over the place to there. But we had discovered tourists came just for the railroad. They didn't walk up downtown. So it was frustrating to downtown businesses. Now, people came just to run the railroad or ride the railroad, and they got tired throughout the day, and they got in the car and left.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get on the Metrolink in Moore Park and take it to LA. So that was just, you know, those are the first two things that stuck out is they have an active railroad. Not saying,
Yeah.
let's talk about bringing it back here. I'm saying that's opinion. And your work on that, I like because it's very detailed, and thank you for the time that you spent on that. Are there any other, like Solvang was brought up. Solvang is somewhat isolated from rail service. They do have that little airport in there, not saying build one out here. But the question is, have you thought about potentially like, just online, like exploring, like what other little towns, even like further up in Northern California, they've got like Columbia State Historic Park. What they've done to increase foot traffic or vehicle traffic to figure out, hey, this is what we've done, this has worked. It's not an over-exorbitant amount of money, if any, but it has worked for us, whether it's signage or a little bit of advertising or a mixture of both to help with people driving through see it and understand, hey, because a lot of the stuff they see, like you come up on Central Avenue now, you see some, you know, faded paint from the Chevy dealer facing north, and then you don't really realize, hey, there's more action down. Is there possibly the thought of doing something along those lines?
In terms of like studying what Solvang does?
That is a reference, but just maybe another small town that is thriving per se, and has been able to beat the curve of like the pandemic and people trying to stay closer to home.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely study that. I think with Solvang, it's extremely unique because they have that Danish identity, you know, and with Fillmore, like our identity was in the railroad. You know, I'm talking to people throughout Southern California. People did come for the railroad, and that was something that Fillmore is known for. It's like, oh yeah, they had the train at Christmas time to bring, you know, their kids up, like, you know, the fond memories coming to Fillmore for the train. So yeah, that would be something that exploring, you know, bringing a tourist destination like that back would definitely.
But Jacob, I think the question is to answer it fully is, are you looking at other cities up Central Valley? For instance, did you not attend the APA conference and meet planners from other cities in the Central Valley and ask them? And you talked about what they are doing as well as Solvang and some of the other cities. Aren't you doing those things?
Yeah. As far as talking to APA events too, I know we had an APA event recently, and I talked a little bit about economic development. And then, you know, they had recommended something similar to the RDA, where it's an enhanced infrastructure financing district. So they recommended looking at that, you know, to improve the infrastructure downtown. Yeah, I definitely could reach out to my connections.
Sure. No,
But
and
I will say, you have a point about the Metrolink station. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes on that. So what we do have is a functional bus depot or bus shelter, where if you see it in the morning, it's filled with kids and people going to college and stuff like that. That's an anchor, right? A business could be built a little bit around that in some kind of way. If you look at the list that we were provided by Sean, you know, a coffee shop, that would be ideal, right? Everyone's at Starbucks. They can go
Right.
closer to the transit center is what you're describing.
And our bike path.
Yes.
Yes. See, because ever since I've been on the commission, like my teeth have been in the 126 and making it more friendly. And just traffic. I reviewed the plan as well, the email that we got with, from Downtown Strategies. I live on the other side of the 126. I won't walk across to this side. That's just me. I come to this side for the meetings. All my businesses, I head to Moore Park and everything else. And the reason for my personal experience is just the traffic. The lights are a nightmare. Pedestrians coming through, vehicles running red lights. It's a lot harder for I've seen a lot of pedestrians almost and I'm glad nothing's happened, but it's not walkable friendly. I've reached out to Caltrans, kind of, I'll keep that to myself, but, I mean, I've reached out to them, it's not fun, it's hard. But what got my attention was the 10-minute, downtown's 10 minutes from everything. We've heard those radio slogans all the time. It's realistically, it's not. And we just gotta find a better way to maximize what we've got in Fillmore, because it's great. It's just, I feel like it should be more personal. People that live here should have an easier access to get to areas. Family and friends come in. We come in to work. Just something. The bike path. I like it. It's just, it's not. That 126 is a divider, and it's not a friendly divider. So that's why, like the last meeting, I brought up going under the 126 over down the road here to make that bike path connect to where it loops it in, and it's safe for people. Safety's key. We've seen what happened in the rain the past few days. It's just not friendly. So, again, it was more of a curiosity thing, because other towns you go to, like even Ojai, you go up to Ojai, the second a pedestrian steps in the crosswalk, traffic stops, and they're so respectful. That 126, I tell you, traffic ain't gonna stop. But and I'm not saying let's go get fancy lights and everything else, but just something, can we look at seeing what other towns, like Ojai, I think would be good, because it's one narrow street like what we have here. There's no rail up there. They've got the transportation, the buses, stuff like Uber. They have convenient people or companies that will come. And it will help, I think, bring traffic to this area. But I'm curious to, what they do and how they do it. But like I said, I appreciate the time that you spent on it. My questions aren't as hard, I hope, as Ashley's, because
Sorry.
they're complex. But, I mean, I thank you for that. It's a lot of work, I know, and I really appreciate what you do on that.
Thank you.
And that's all the questions that I have. Cameron?
Yeah. I have a couple. Have we explored weekend events or night events, like night markets or farmers markets, to kind of bring foot traffic? I know we have the car show, and that brings a lot of foot traffic, and it brings traffic to the businesses. As a city, or has there been discussions about how we could do more of these events, pop-up events, and to kind of draw people to the downtown, which then might ultimately draw more businesses there that might be entertained by the foot traffic and other events that we're promoting from the city, that I think is reasonably inexpensive?
Yeah, that is something in the retail strategies report, to have kind of farmers markets style events. I know historically we've done that. I think city staff, I think Kevin actually worked on a couple festivals that did bring people downtown. That is something we've done in the past, and is something we could do in the going forward as well.
Is there a city, I guess, committee or anything related to?
There is.
Yes, there is. It's what Sean was referring to. So there's a committee of 2 council members, and with city staff, and they meet with the downtown merchants, and now they'll be meeting monthly. They were meeting quarterly, and they're now meeting monthly. They're discussing the very topics that you're talking about. But tonight, I know you're talking about downtown, and we're led about downtown, but we like to focus on the 1/3 retail. It is believed that that is an obstruction to business. And I've done this 4 times in 32 years here at the city, is try to remove that particular requirement. And every time I've done that, when it went to the rubber meeting the road, the council said no. There's a certain fear that once you make a decision, you can never go back, you can never reverse, but that's wrong, it's an error. You can make a mistake and you can correct it. So doing nothing is not great, and it is a decision, but you can make a decision. But if you move forward and you make a mistake, we can always correct it. Nothing's written in stone. We can rewrite things along the way. So the purpose of tonight is just simply 1/3 retail. All the other items that you're discussing is to improve downtown. I would encourage you to join or that committee. We'll discuss that later. Not all 5 of you can attend. Only 2 because of the Brown Act. And even with that, I'm going to double check with the city attorney later on that because you have 2 council members already attending that. But there is an effort at the council level to address the very exact things that you're talking about. And then we need, and if it's real, it needs to be placed in the city's budget, right? That we need money.
Understood. I think where I was coming from is there other items that the city's doing where maybe we don't need to remove the 1/3? Maybe that isn't what the driving factor is.
Well, the effort right now is our 2 sign requirements. One is a sign that directs people to downtown. Sean, the theater owner, did describe over 30,000 vehicles a day, drives along 126, doesn't even realize it. So we're trying to create a sign and direct them downtown. That's one method. The second method is a wayfinding sign. Once you arrive downtown, where do you go? Right, and that's called a wayfinding sign. That's described in the downtown specific plan. So efforts are being made on that portion of it.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
it?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
I have one. Speaking from experience, is the city, and I don't know whether you'll be able to answer this or not, but with that 1/3 to drive in more business coming in, is the city going to be less restricted on signing permits or giving out permits to the businesses? Because when I opened a business across the street not too long ago, it was hard. It was hard to deal with the city to get that permit. It took almost 3 months to get it. I was providing a service, but I still had to place that 1/3, 1/4 retail. I wasn't selling anything, I was selling service. So that's why I'm asking, is the city going to be more lenient towards that in regards to permits and allowing services come in or
Well, that's what you're being asked tonight. So tonight, you're going to make a recommendation that goes to the city council, and then before you is to remove that requirement of 1/3 retail. So service is permitted in that space. All the other land uses that are allowed will be permitted in the 1/3 space. You don't need to provide retail. So you can have your office there, you can have the barber shop and the beauty salons and the gyms and the real estate business. Any non-retail, that's an allowed use, you're permitted to go in there. And where it becomes difficult is when you're changing the use and you need tenant improvements. That's where it's difficult.
But right now, it's allowed, right? Like, most of the stuff that we just talked about, it's like hair salon, gym, restaurant, your.
Those are
your
allowed
business.
uses in downtown, except not in the 1/3 retail space.
Aren't they there right now?
We permitted them, but we required 1/3 retail. So
Okay.
Alex is describing exactly the situation.
Right.
We're difficult to deal with
Okay.
if you're not providing retail. We force you to do retail. And that's a problem, right? So we're saying, let's remove that problem.
So can I ask, though, is there any proof that removing that problem solves the vacancy issue?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? No, all right, thank you. And we'll go ahead and open up the public comments.
Do we have any?
I don't have it. Jacob, you don't have any other cards for this one? Okay.
If there are people that want to speak, if they've not filled out a card yet, this would be the time to speak on the agenda item, though.
Good evening. My name is Hank Eisprue, and this is my wife, Joe. And we are in process right now of acquiring or attempting to acquire a spot here on your Central District at location is 340 Central, near the movie theater. And I appreciate everything that's been said. I appreciate the work of this committee and the city of Fillmore. Has been very accommodating in helping us to realize this dream that we have of opening a business here. Just to be, honest, we provide a service. We have a small studio in Santa Barbara. It is a massage therapy. We deal a lot with the veterans in providing medical massage. My wife has plans to expand that here in Fillmore with that property. We did have part of the vision is to provide some retail. This being a property that's 140 feet from end to end, that requires us to have almost 47 feet of the first third, and I'd say that's very onerous. Just to be honest, I really appreciate what Mr. McCullough had to say. And I know that he's had, I've been wanting to talk, and I have talked to a number of business leaders and business owners here in the city. And I think having that rescinded, that portion of it, I do understand the mechanism of wanting to have retail, because of course you want people to come and say, hey, there's an open store, there's somewhere we can go inside. I believe that is a good idea, but it's not the idea to, at the end of the day, is to have occupancy, to have revenue, to have a profitable business, to have the city be able to get the tax revenue and to draw people here. And I think there are a lot of very good ideas, and I think those things are going to happen. My concern, again, is that 1/3 retail makes it a very difficult for us to, make that business profitable and make it happen right away. So I'm not sure if my wife had something you'd like to say, honey?
Yeah, for my,
You can
So this would be a new, just so you have it be a new public comment, introduce yourself to the commission, and
Yeah, just tell me
she'd be
your
a new
my
speaker.
name is Peilingpeng, called Peilin Pong, but short name called Joe, J-O, easy to remember. I want to express is, if I am the owner, who you think about you are the owner, how you can put the whole money at the 1/3 and then just retail sale, and to hopefully people walk in, have traffic. I believe traffic, if the small amount of people, no one will want to put whole bunch of the money at that kind of retail 1/3, But if I didn't hear wrong, you before say, if have some kind of courage, the owner, you put a 1/3, that kind of financial part, I will believe all the owner will welcome to put 1/3, that kind of rule on. But if for the small business view, we will want to have traffic, and then people coming in, all of this town, blooming the people and healthy the people coming in. And then so if you can dispute that 1/3, that kind of limit, I will believe will more people or more owner want to come to in this town to build up their business. For example, 10 years ago, the Santa Barbara, similarly like the here, very small, very quiet, no business. But now, blooming. So they are very small, tiny. Our business at the Santa Barbara State Street, I just only one tiny 10 by 10 square feet. I just buy that, but our whole facility is have 6 owners at there. Why? People think about, hey, I am at the location at the State Street. I can affordable to do that. not too much, and then now I'm too busy to my schedule pick up, so I need to expand, but I couldn't find the right place. Why? Because no parking, because competition. In the whole State Street right now, at least 20, I'm not saying spot, 20 station for the business, the massage. So variety. But at here, I see the view is 10 years ago, the Santa Barbara. But if you guys limit that kind of the opportunity, I believe not too much people, owner will willing want to immediately put whole bunch of the money to the 1/3 that kind of retail sale, because that for the business really difficulty. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And does anyone need me to translate?
No.
Did you, is she able to catch most of
No,
that?
she
But
did great.
She is, we're very excited. This space is is a few layers of difficulty we've added to it, is that it is a mixed use. And we have plans in the future to hopefully have a wellness spa where we'll not only have infrared and red light therapy and some whirlpool and hot tub and type things that'll come later. But in having this area here, we worry too about foot traffic. You know, what do we do and how do we market? But the opportunity here, just like the developers that see these areas that are in Santa Paula, Fillmore, they're building out in Piru. This is a conduit, and it's not going to get a lot better in the short term as far as traffic. But there are a lot of people coming to this area, like it or not, this is where they want to come. Demographics show that a lot of them are commuting. They're commuting from here to go to work in Ventura, in Camarillo, in different areas of the. Since we serve a lot of the veterans, they go to the bases, but it's somehow to draw them to this side. And even in talking to some of the other business owners, they've mentioned that, it's hard for them, as you said, Mr. Todd, it's hard for them to cross. They just come home. When they come home on the 126, they stay on that side of the highway, coming back into Fillmore or to wherever they're headed, and they go, oh, I got to go to Vons, I got to go to Starbucks, I got to go to this area. What's going to draw them over here? And like Mr. McCullough was saying, I believe it is something like that we do need some other types of restaurants, some places that are open, some things that are family friendly, some things that are actually going to be able to draw them. I don't think that our particular unit is designed for that. I would, in some ways, I'd much rather open, an ice cream parlor or a restaurant. My wife has an idea to have a tea room as part of the spa in the future. But I wanted to express how I do see there's so much opportunity here, and it is a place that is going to continue to grow. And we just have to make sure that, I guess, this downtown and this historic district is treated well. But I think that if you do have, as you see all these different businesses that would like to come into this area, but again, with that 1/3 retail, I believe it's just a hurdle. And we'd love to have, we plan to have merchandise. When I first heard the proposal, I thought it was within the first third, you must have some form of retail. And I said, well, that makes sense. Okay, if they want to have something, make sure there's something in the window and that we have some sort of merchandise or branding that we have for our business. I said, that's a great idea because that'll draw them in.
Mm-hmm.
But to make 47 feet, that entire 750 feet square of 1/3 retail, it doesn't make sense for us. And then our reception has to be back here for the massage area. And granted, it's a great location, and I've enjoyed working with Mr. Cerrone on how we can do this. But again, I want to just commend the committee and everyone I've met so far from the different planning commission and buildings, and the administration here has just been wonderful. So we were just hoping to move forward on this, and just would you know, if I don't get a vote, but, you know, I hope that we'll be able to be rescinded here shortly. Thank you.
I'm
All
sorry,
right,
what
thank
was
you.
your name again?
Hank Icebrew. Henry is my given name, but I go by Hank.
Thank you.
And I'll spell that last name for you.
Okay.
A as in apple, I as in Isaac, Z as in zebra, P as in Paul, U as in United, R as in Robert.
Thank
And
you.
it's Icebrew, it's just a Basque name.
Cool,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. And then the next card I have, I can't read the last name, but John Meadows. I'm gonna blame the lighting in here tonight.
Thank you. You guys are very lucky that you get to make recommendations. You're representing all of us. Kevin's right. If this hasn't worked and it's been a hurdle, maybe it's time to change that hurdle, and don't be scared of it. The community's with you guys. You may not be here, but there are a lot of people that watch and do pay attention. Fillmore's a small town. People talk a lot. On another note, I do encourage you, if it can be done, two of you to come to the business roundtable. I think you will find 90% of your answers in this business roundtable. These are the people in town with all these different businesses. I own JMI Storage. I'm out on the highway next to El Dorado Mobile Home Park. I'm on the south side of the 126. Going to this roundtable has shown me there are many concerns and wonderful ideas. I think if we try nothing, we fail. We continue to fail. But it's up to you guys to make those recommendations and convince council, hey, we feel this strongly about this. So we're with you as businesses, and we encourage you to come and be part of that roundtable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, those are the only two. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna say 2.5 speaker cards. Thank you.
So real quick on this, some apology to Kevin, because when he said that this has come up 4 times the last 32 years, this is kind of my fault that it came up again, so I'm sorry. I started this process probably, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, talking to Carrie Rogie, and the reason that it came up is the building that was the apothecary next to the theater owns that. That's now real estate and notary, that's Brandy's office. And she was very concerned about the 1/3 retail, because the total square footage in that place is about 460, but I'd say 100 and maybe a little over 100 of that is in the back. So the front of it is maybe 300 square feet, and you're gonna lose another 100 square feet to fit retail in there. She wouldn't be able to do business. Now, she has hung artwork from a local artist up on the walls and has that for sale. So we kind of got through it, but the 1/3 could have been a problem if it was strictly enforced. A good friend of mine in town, Eric Swenson, who owns the Regen House oddity store, has a very compelling argument to keep the 1/3, and keep retail going. And I understand that, but the reality is retail is very, very difficult these days, even for the big boys. And we all know about stores that are closing, they're laying off, they're shutting down, things like that. Retail is very, very tough. And I think if you're looking at the tier of, do you want a vacant building, or do you want to, just hold on for retail, I would rather have the building not be vacant, kind of thing. And real quick, when you were talking about events, there is a company or a group called My Valley Pass. They are now working with us at the theater to bring events into Fillmore. They're very event-oriented, and they've done a ton in San Fernando Valley, so that is happening beyond whatever the city's doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now I have no speaker cards, so we're going to close the public hearing and chat amongst ourselves. Is there anyone that would like to kick off?
Ashley?
Well, I think that the city kind of already identified the lack of these active storefronts as a problem. and they invested public funds to hire a downtown revitalization consultant. And they provided like a very extensive 166-page report that outlined short-term and long-term strategies based on like data they collected specifically from Fillmore and community surveys. And I just think that, unfortunately, I respect what was just said, and I actually really did like the one idea that Hank said, which was, you know, his misinterpretation where he thought like within the 1/3 you had to have retail rather than actually 1/3 of the square footage had to be retail. But I just think like removing this requirement is sort of like a quick solution that we don't really have any metrics or data proving that it helps. And rather, I think we should really look more or advise the city council to look further into implementing the research strategies that are designed to address the long-term issue of vacancy. And I think in general, we all know that commercial real estate is like struggling broadly, but the successful downtowns, as many participants here said tonight, they are thriving because they provide some form of experience, walkability, there's active storefronts at night, and on the weekends, and they, you know, maybe offer some sort of local or specialty retail. It's sort of that welcome third place atmosphere. And I actually think Fillmore has a perfect downtown for that and is really well positioned because we have a captive audience. You know, a lot of the infographics that that consultant provided, you know, they talked about certain leakage or where people leave the town to pursue, you know, they go to the grocery store somewhere else, and I mean, I'm guilty of that. I go to Oxnard to go to the grocery store, or, you know, my clothing store. I have to go somewhere else. So, you know, that retail policy, I think it actually supports that vision, but the policy alone, I don't think is enough. And that's why I was really asking all these questions about the incentives, you know, financial incentives, sort of like filling that gap. And I really still feel, like I said last meeting, that there need to be financial incentives to support and attract and sustain the businesses. And in all of the data that we reviewed, like both qualitative and quantitative, I think the strong sense of place is really what matters. And, you know, our median age here is 37, and I'm a little younger than that, but speaking maybe from that demographic, you know, authentic community-oriented retail and dining, like maybe somewhere to go on a date at night past 8 p.m. Surveys show that the residents downtown, that's what they want. And I think to get there, we should prioritize, you know, suggesting to City Council that they take these financial tools and incentives already developed by the consultant that public funds hired, and implement them. And, you know, like some of the things that I said earlier, like about incentivizing landlords to deliver tenants a vanilla shell, to lower the barrier to entry, because, you know, a tenant coming in, if they have a completely blank, you know, no HVAC, no viable plumbing, there's no lights, there's no ceiling, there's nothing, you know, they're gonna have to invest a lot more of their money to be able to start up a business. And something else, you know, that we heard tonight is like these spaces are really large and they don't really work to have 1/3 of that square footage maybe be retail, but what if the property owners were incentivized to build demising walls so they can have multiple tenants in these very large spaces, so that now, you know, you get your 10-foot by 10-foot shop and 1/3 retail isn't really that big of a deal to accomplish. Because I think what I propose is that I honestly think that we're holding the line on the 1/3 retail to protect the public realm. Like, this is how we make it the community's living room, you know? Like, if there's no activity on the street, like, it's just a collection of meaningless space, like buildings. It's not it's not cool to hang out in. Like, why would you want to be there? So if there's like, you know, all these blacked out storefronts that are all closed on the weekends, all closed at night, it's not going to help your business thrive. It's not going to help the businesses that are already there thrive. So with all that said, I just think that we need to keep the 1/3 retail and instead recommend to the city to prioritize implementing and funding the downtown revitalization strategies that, that support the owners and support the tenants and the businesses and the activity in our community. And, you know, that takes money. I mean, but I think if you don't invest in these programs, nothing's gonna change. And I know that it sounds nice to just get something done and say, oh yeah, we removed the 1/3 retail, but to me, it's really just kicking the can and, you know, down the road. And yeah, I think, you know, if we want to see something happen, the city needs to fund it and they need to support it happening.
And you breathed during all that? Thank you. Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I have a couple comments. One, speaking on the, you know, the financial incentives, it's good in theory in maybe a bigger city, very easily done more, but our budget for the city is tight already. So incentivizing things financially could be difficult. Where I think that possibly could do is within the fees, lowering some of the fees for permits and things like that, to where that might not necessarily hurt the budget. One of the things I think, and I said this last time, was brick and mortar retail is dying across the country, across the world. I mean, you know, with Amazon, with buying things online, you know, it's easier, and, you know, you can order it at work, it gets there by the time you get home. And so having the requirement of some kind of retail in the downtown area is, you know, putting more emphasis on this dying business model. Also, you know, like the business expertise, it's, you know, you're opening up a service, you know, business, and now you're having this requirement of retail, and there's a humongous amount of extra work going into that, going and getting your resale license with the state, you know, for sales tax, and, you know, making sure that you file all of your sales tax quarterly reports. So there's an extra level of requirements needed for retail businesses outside of a service business that doesn't necessarily have the sales tax or those extra layers of requirements. And then also, you know, that's kind of my arguments for removing it. One of my arguments for not removing it is what businesses are now going to come. And I don't want downtown to be a humongous, you know, just salon here, salon here, salon here, gym here. You know, we already have quite a few of those in downtown. And I know we spoke to city attorney about, or, you know, brought up, can we put any type of restrictions on that? And I think there was some questions about that. But I know we already have some certain restrictions on the number of, you know, marijuana businesses we can have within certain districts. You know, the number of.
The only restriction we have is for thrift stores. So thrift stores are only permitted one per block on each side.
Okay.
There's no other restrictions on anything else.
Okay. So there is legal ability to put on some kind of restrictions on the types of businesses, Not saying, you can't have that business, but, we already have 4 of them on there. We've reached that percentage.
It's like a liquor license or something, like, we
Yeah.
only have this many.
Right.
And
I just, sorry, I just would, there is some nuance to that, though. It's sort of a case, but, it's not something we can do blanket necessarily, and you'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. I just wanted to say there is some nuance
Okay.
to it.
So it's not like prohibited, but you'd have to look at it, certain demographics of where it's going to be located, what other things are around it.
And what types of impacts might there be related to that type of thing?
So it could, if another recommendation is if we remove it, then we could recommend the city council add portions or restrictions on a total number of businesses of a certain type in certain scenarios. Correct?
I think, yeah, again, it would be with the caveat, like, subject to further research type of caveat and further exploration of what types of businesses would we be looking at regulating, that type of thing.
Okay. And then just the last thing, we can have the removal of this, the requirement for the 1/3, and still have, design standards, for non-retail use where it's still, as people walk by, are still inviting for those services in where, but it's not necessarily requiring that, retail upfront. So those are kind of my thinkings as I, went through it, and thank you.
You could finish. Yeah. All right, thank you for that. Anybody else?
I think where my head's at is, I think something needs to change. I think hearing from the business owners, Commissioner Flores, just hearing the process and hearing the folks out in the public of what this restriction has caused for them. I think we shouldn't be scared that overnight, all of a sudden, a bunch of real estate and services are gonna just flood into Fillmore and fill up all the vacancies. Like that, I think realistically, that will not happen. I think naturally, we'll probably see just a natural blend of businesses coming to Fillmore. I think if anything, we should look at promoting retail, maybe making the recommendation to retail, maybe invite some incentives on permit fees if there is retail part of your business, to attract that first, but not make it a requirement in the sense of it's just blanket for everyone. Because hearing the 1/3, I think it makes total sense, just sitting over here and not being a business owner, but hearing the strain it puts on a business. Now you got to figure this out. I like the idea to promote retail and having some aspect of retail. I think selling local art in a real estate office, I think those are great ideas that we should promote downtown, even if it is a service. I think that's what Fillmore is really about. But I do agree with the speakers we heard today from the public that we shouldn't fear the removal of this 1/3, and I don't think it's going to overnight flood downtown with businesses we don't want. I think it's just not realistic.
Can I ask you a question, though? Do you think that they would have sold the local art if they didn't require retail?
Maybe.
Probably not, but I think that's why I hit the caveat of promoting retail
So how
versus
would you-
requiring retail.
So like more incentivizing, like if you provide retail,
Maybe there is a discount on your permit fees, or maybe,
or there's a grant available to you
yeah.
to improve the space. or
That
something.
would be my recommendation to city council to make some sort of, it would be at their level of making that requirement, and making those changes in the fees, or accelerating permit fees if you have retail, to give some incentive to businesses that want some aspect. But instead of requiring a full 1/3 or even setting an amount, I think it should just be retail in general. You sell something.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why when Hank said that, you know, he thought that it was, retail had to be within the 1/3, like it didn't have to
Yeah, that's
occupy the
exactly.
entire space. I actually think that that's a really good idea, because it still kind of keeps that active storefront. My only fear is like, what if it's an accountant's office and it becomes all these programs that aren't open at night and they're not open on the weekend? So
Yeah,
then what do we do?
I would say our recommendation should be to city council that remove, okay, I would say my recommendation to city council would be to remove the retail, promote retail, look at incentives for folks that want to bring retail, and then look at, from a legal standing, where we could restrict these amounts, so we're not having a bunch of financial businesses, we're not having a bunch of retail. I think that would be a appropriate resolution or recommendation to city council to move forward with removing the retail, but allow them some more homework on their side to get across the finish line.
Support retail, because we prefer retail.
Exactly.
Because it's also, I mean, this was directed by city council.
Correct.
Through this, through the two that are sitting on this committee.
Correct.
That, hey, this has been something that their constituents have brought to the table, and feel that that's what the business owners are, like you said, asking for. But with the caveat of, yeah, let's promote the retail businesses that want to come in, or some portion of it, if they want to do half, or, you know, a portion or a percentage of their building to have retail, could incentivize them
Right.
to, you know, increase that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were thinking about 1/3 or just a window display, but they can get $2,000 off their permit fees. Okay, by extending it an extra, 100 square feet, and maybe that is incentive for them to do that expansion. So I would, second that for a recommendation.
I think naturally people get creative when there's some incentives.
But I actually think it's the opposite, because I think when you have a requirement for something, like, at least in my field of work, I have to abide by all sorts of codes and regulations. And sometimes those regulations actually make the project a lot better. And I know we talked, like, we reviewed the RV storage place, and we were talking about like, oh, well, there's no, you have to have the retail. Like, we want to have the retail. Why is that? Because it attracts people, and it's like something to do. So that's just my argument, along with my lengthy argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just and I understand what Kevin's saying, like, we can make a mistake and we can reverse it, but it's not easy to. We talked about how you can't really evict these people and say like, oh, well, now we regret it. Now all the businesses here are, accountant office and another gym and like whatever. Like, we can't be like, okay, get out. We want to have retail now. So that's my only thing I'm saying. And maybe my altered recommendation would be retail has to occur within the first third instead of being 1/3 of the square footage.
All right, Alex, anything you want to add? No? Okay. Well, my opinion is, I think we need to stop restricting businesses and letting the business choose. I don't think a massage parlor, for example, should be forced to sell something other than their service. They shouldn't be told whatever else. As far as data goes, you could see the papers. I mean, there's vacancies everywhere. I think that speaks for itself too. So I would be in favor of removing the 1/3 restriction, and then I do feel like we do or should recommend to City Council that if a retail establishment wants to come in, offer an incentive, or let them know, hey, if you come in and you're looking at this, there's some incentives for retail. If you're looking to do massage. If you want to do some retail, here's this incentive. And incentives do play a high part in making a deal. I know when I bought my car, they offered me an extra $500. I took it and drove right off the lot. So incentives, I believe, work, and hopefully they, you know, I'm sure city council's very smart, city staff's very smart. They can take a look at numbers and say, hey, we'll make it work. We'll help out existing and potential business owners come into the city and continue to help us thrive. And, you know, maybe I'll walk across the 126 to see what's going on this side.
Yeah.
But that's just that's my recommendation, or my thoughts behind it. So, with that being said,
So if the motion is to remove the 1/3 retail, could we also agree that with that, we are gonna recommend to the city to prioritize developing and implementing incentive programs to support property owners and tenants who wanna do retail?
If you like, I could read back the 7 items that you stated. It sounded like you'd like to make recommendations on it. You'd like to make a recommendation on the 1/3 retail, and then you want the city council to know these 7 items. So 1 was you want to implement the retail strategies, suggestions. 2, let the city council know that addressing 1/3 retail removal is not enough. You need to do more than that. 3, provide financial incentives or investments, the city does. 4, lower city fees or remove city fees downtown. 5, limit the number of certain uses so they're not concentrated. 6, keep our design standards the way they are, don't change the design standards. And lastly, promote retail, but don't limit it within 1/3, allow it throughout the space.
I just have one question on the removing the city fees, or waiving fees. It would only apply if the tenant wants to do retail.
Okay.
That's
Got it.
what I would say.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
I would
yeah.
agree.
Got it. Thank you.
Kevin, what was your number 7 again?
Promote the retail requirement, but not limit it to 1/3 retail. Right. So the argument is that we're forcing the first 1/3 to be retail only. So within that space, you can still have office space or whatever use you have. The retail should just be throughout the building and placed wherever the property owner or business would like to have it.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask if you guys would agree that in lieu of saying that it can be placed wherever the property or business owner wants to have it, that it does still need to be in the front of the space, in the, you know, because the architecture here, it really is about retail. Like, that's why these spaces were even built, and they have like the big windows and they have the, you know, entryways and stuff. Like, if it's not in the front, then no one's gonna see it and no one's gonna go inside.
That would be up to the business owner to put it where they like, and if the business owner markets it correctly, the prospective person coming in will be looking for it. There's too many regulations in that.
There
I
are
just don't think we
regulations
can
there.
rely on
There are
them.
regulations today. It's called storefront. It's in the downtown specific plan. And we put it in the draft ordinance that's before you today. So if there is retail, that retail must be displayed in a storefront.
Okay.
It's written in your ordinance.
And that's actually shown in the red line copy here that's before the
Okay.
planning commission, that clarification. So this would actually be the version of the ordinance. It's a slight clarification from the staff report version.
So section, what is this, section D4, or no, D3H, windows for retail usage facing a public street right-of-way shall have merchandise visible to passing pedestrians. So that covers your request. right?
Right, because I think the way that Kevin read it, it was that they could just disperse it throughout the space and it doesn't need to be in the front. Just now. So that's why I was confused.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
as his recommendation, as one of the recommendations
Yes.
that was heard.
Yeah,
think we could probably scratch, in my opinion, we could scratch 7. and just-
Altogether?
Just leave incentives that,
oh, I didn't find it.
Page 3.
It's page 3, it's the new paragraph H. Windows, and we added 4 retail uses facing a public street right-of-way shall have merchandise visible to passing pedestrians.
So if we strike the 7th one of, and
If you strike
point
it out, it's addressed in the storefront that you're describing right now.
in section H there.
Okay.
So it says, windows for retail uses facing a public street right-of-way shall have merchandise visible to passing pedestrians. So that's only in a retail use.
Right.
Correct.
So if
And if
a
we
tenant
remove-
comes in and they're primarily not a retail space and they want to have retail and they want to get the incentive for the retail, like, let's say there's a incentive program that gives TI, helps them with their TI for retail. So they wouldn't be required to put it in the front 1/3?
I would say, then you're retail, so you would have to comply. And
Well, not if your whole,
if you're
okay.
getting an incentive, you would have to be retail. Then that would apply.
If you're not fulfilling the incentive, then the city would come after you.
So there would be some type of qualification standard for you getting an incentive, I guess,
Correct.
which we don't know what those are yet because
Right.
there's no incentives.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, is 50% of your business retail, or is it, 1/10 of a percentage, of your business retail? Do you still get the full incentives for having retail
Yeah.
at that point?
Yeah, and I
That would be something
guess-
that would have to be discussed with, city staff and the city council of, what are-
Develops the incentive program.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
So what was the number 7, and what are we striking from
We
our
strike the 7,
recommendation?
we strike the 7, the retail anywhere.
What was can you say it again, Kevin?
Yeah,
What was it?
I thought I heard that you would like to promote retail throughout the business and not only in the 1/3 space. So the first portion of the building, first windows area, first 5 feet of it could be retail, and then they could put the rest in the back. Or just throughout.
Well, removing the
I would
1/3.
promote it in the front of the space.
Yeah, removing the 1/3, they could do that. They could have all their retail sitting in the back if they chose
But
to
what
have a portion
does
of
that
retail.
serve? That doesn't serve anything.
But that would be the business's decision to do that. And again, if they're getting incentives, potential incentives, they would have to adhere to H with having the retail use
In the window.
visible.
Potentially when the incentive gets created.
Right.
Okay. I guess I just don't agree with that, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Well, it was suggested to strike it out.
yeah,
Yeah, we're striking it.
okay.
Well, then, are you gonna read it?
No,
All right. All right, no, good.
What is our?
I gotta get to the right page. All right, so we got the 7
6.
items to go to council.
6, right? You're striking
So
number
we
7.
scratched the last one.
Yes.
Okay, so 6 items. Kevin, just so we know, one more time?
So, you're making a recommendation to adopt Resolution 26-1066, recommending the city council adopt ordinance 26992, amending the municipal code for the removal of 1/3 retail. Separately, you're recommending 6 items that you want the city council to know that they should consider.
Yes.
And the stress is consider. You're not recommending that they actually do these things, but you want them to know that's part of your discussion.
Correct.
And
And
what,
because we can't do the,
That's not part of one-third retail. I mean,
Okay.
we're literally looking at the government code section,
Right,
the
okay.
municipal code.
and what we could do is actually write that into the planning commission resolution, say that the planning commission recommends the city council adopt the ordinance Kevin just referenced, subject, and further recommends that the city council consider the following, and then it would be the list of.
Can I ask though, because last time when we talked about like the multifamily housing and we had a similar recommendation at the end of our decision, that wasn't necessarily read during the city council meeting. It was only the beginning portion of us saying like, we approve this, you know, code language or whatever. Is that
I mean,
gonna
it's
happen
something,
again with this?
it's something that could be called out in the staff report. I'm not sure where the planning commission recommendation usually goes, but it's something that, if it's an emphasis, I mean, we could make sure that that's included as part of the city council staff report, that it was subject to these 6.
Okay, so it would just be in the staff report, but it wouldn't be part of the presentation to city council?
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be part of the oral presentation to city council, but it would be in the documentation. It was, I think that, if I recall correctly, that item you're referring to was part of the planning commission resolution. I don't recall off the top of my head whether the, like, final signed planning commission resolution actually gets presented to city council, but usually it would at least be called out in the staff report, and then it's documented in the planning commission.
Yeah, I think that one,
resolution.
it was just the decision of, we approved, or suggest to approve the code language change, but and then we did make a recommendation about like the solar studies.
Yeah.
And that was not part of the oral presentation, so that's why I was just wondering if there is a way to have that be part of it.
It was in the
It's
staff
not.
report.
Yeah, it was.
It
in
just
the
wasn't
report.
part of the oral presentation.
Right. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I forgive. All right, so we will
Make a
make a
motion.
motion.
Yeah.
Now, want to read it, since you normally do?
I was going to make the motion to adopt Resolution 26-1066 for adopting Ordinance 26, or recommending the City Council adopt Ordinance 26-992, and adding to the 6 items that were discussed for City Council's consideration.
Michael, do you want the 6 read again, or we're aware of them?
I think if the planning commissioners were comfortable with having as part of the recommendation the 6 items that Kevin read on his list, we can go back and incorporate
Okay. We're good with that.
those if the planning commission was comfortable with those items when he
Okay.
read them.
All right, perfect. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, it's 4-1, and that motion will pass. And now I will go back to the agenda. All right, so now we are going to move on to number 8, the reports and communications. 8A, planning commissioner brief reports. Are there any? Seeing none, we'll go on to 8B, planning and community development director, verbal reporting. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to actually go through quite a number of projects. I don't always do this, but I'd like to do that for you and for the public. Starting then with projects that are under construction, and then some long-term projects, and then projects that are submitting applications. Projects that are under construction right now is Sonic. It's on the top of everyone's tongue there. It appears to be scheduled for completion in the summer, knock on wood. The second project is the Creekside Development by Williams Homes in North Fillmore. The models will be under construction soon. That project included a major new sewer trunk line at Old Telegraph Road and C Street and Goodenough at the railroad tracks there. The city is under construction for well number 10 in Dolores Day Park. The Bridges subdivision should be completed in December of this year. The bike path should be completed in about 2 months. Some of you could ride on the bike path now. The asphalt's there, but the landscaping will go in, the irrigation will go in. There's also interpretive signs about the river and the plants and animal life and all that stuff that needs to go in, benches, trash receptacles, and those kinds of things. The park will be under construction probably in the summer. It's in plan check right now. And then there's a very ornate entrance at Highway 126 and Trestle Way that'll include a fake water tower and a fake dry lake bed. And that's the Bridges subdivision. Highway 126 RV storage is under construction. We're having difficulty with that because of the requirement of retail. The property is zoned commercial highway, and storage only is not allowed. So they're trying to figure out how to put retail there. If you remember the RV storage in North Fillmore, we're in plan check number 3. So maybe that'll start construction sometime in the summer. We approved quite a few ADUs, if you're familiar with that. And if you're familiar with the state of California, they want it approved right over the counter. You submit it, it's automatically approved. Well, our experience is it doesn't happen that way. It happens for properties that have been created maybe in the last 40 years. But if they're properties that existed from 1910, we're discovering buildings cross property lines, or they're in the right of way, or in an easement, or you name it. Old property is very, very difficult, and it's never right over the counter. So there's a little bit of frustrations for those people who have older homes and older property. We now have our GIS system. It's been up and operating for quite some time. We have actually created something like about 120 overlays. They're primarily internal for the city to use, for staff to use. We have quite a few of them that are for public viewing, and we're going to go through each and every one and figure out which ones can be for public viewing and let the public see more of our work. You will be attending a conference next month. If you want to carpool, you should work it out with each other. If not, I could totally understand. City's paying for mileage. Please take advantage of that conference. Past commissioners took great opportunities there. They've connected with other commissioners from other cities. And there's a real bonding with each other, but with other cities too. So some of the commissioners still kept contact, and they learned from them. In the long term, the city will need to begin initiating our general plan, which we need to budget that. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be a years-long process. The existing general plans from 1988, we amended it in 2001, in 2003, and 2005. But we need a wholesale change all the way across the board, plus the environmental document that goes with it. It's not an easy item, and it's something that you need to look for the next 30 to 40 years of what you want the city to become. Don't expect quick answers. I don't want to scare you, but it's can be frustrating. We're working on an application from a company called Many Mansions for Affordable Units on former redevelopment agency property along the railroad tracks. They're trying to figure out their funding source. And we're working on a second redevelopment agency property at 510 Santa Clara Street. And hopefully we get another residential project for downtown there. And then I believe you're all familiar with a project that I approved called the People Self-Help Project, right across the street from the bus shelter. So they need funding. We're in its last plan check. now, and then other than that, it just needs funding, and needs significant amount of funding. So I don't know if it's a real project. You never know until they receive funding. That's a lot of residential units in the downtown area. I mean, it's customers. When we created the downtown specific plan, we intended that those residents would be customers for downtown, and that's proving not to be the case. So I don't know if the downtown merchants need to market to them, but people are not walking from their apartments to the downtown buying anything. That's a myth. It's a
'Cause
myth
they're
that
all
I
gyms.
perpetuate and that I believed in.
'Cause
I
it's
still
all
believe in
gyms.
it, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So somehow the businesses need to capture that. But anyway, that's a lot of apartments and units we've been building downtown. The last thing I want to say is that the Civic Alliance, it's a think tank here in the county, that put together a newsletter, and it's identified Fillmore in their newsletter. I sent that to you, and it's about the growth of Fillmore. So anyone who's listening or watching, what it said is simply this: Fillmore's growth rate since 2017 to present is something like 8.3%. That's the highest in the county. The next step down, number 2, is Santa Paula, something like about 4.3% growth rate, and then Camarillo. So Fillmore is the highest growth rate since 2017. We've done a very good job. I'm very proud of the work and the quality of our development. And it doesn't stop right there. We have these other projects I just described for you, and we have some others in queue. So we'll see what holds true. That's it.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Does anybody have any questions for Kevin?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I have a question.
Oh, I thought you were kidding. Sorry. No.
I just wanted to, the funding for that self-help project, was that what was on the city council agenda like a couple weeks ago, like the $500,000 or something like that?
That's only $500,000,
Right.
and then I think we're looking at another $300,000. So these kinds of projects are, the budgets are about $1.5 million per unit,
Wow,
right? And this is
For
a
apartment?
50 unit, yes.
wow.
So this is a 50 unit apartment, so they'll need at a minimum $60 million.
Right, okay.
Right, and they have nowhere near that, but the city of Fillmore, we have $500,000 of housing set-aside money that we've had for 30 years, that we have for the redevelopment agency, and it's the remaining money from the redevelopment agency intended and directed only for affordable housing. We can't use it for anything else.
Right.
And this is our opportunity to use it for affordable housing. But you just heard the budget I just gave you.
Yeah, it's like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, yeah. So they need to, the developer, and they're actively searching for funding, and this is their livelihood, and maybe they'll get it, maybe not. If they don't get it, I know they've submitted 2 rounds, so this will be the 3rd round that they're seeking, and if they don't get it, they'll just keep at it until they finally give up.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Any other questions for Kevin? All right, and moving right along, number 9, our adjournment. The next planning commission, or the planning commission will adjourn to the next meeting, which will be February 18. It
Nope.
will be March. I don't want to look at my phone.
It's the 3rd Wednesday in March, do you know that?
March
March
18th. So the planning commission will adjourn until the next regular scheduled meeting on March 18th at 6:30 PM in city council chambers. And thank you.
Thank you.